April is here.
Yep, and I'm your April Fool, right?
Yeah, he is.
We're talking everything April, from finally some nice weather and finally some playoff hockey.
I'm Claudine Ewing.
And I'm Pete Gallivan. And it is playoff time again. It's only been 15 years since we could say that in Buffalo. But, everyone's excited, from the fans to you name it. We got commUNITY, former Sabre, 3-time Stanley Cup winner, also a championship winner with the Buffalo Beauts.
Yep.
Welcome to commUNITY.
Oh, thank you. Looking forward to this.
Tell me, I know what it's like in the plaza, party in the plaza, and in every bar in town, and from a fan's perspective, when that atmosphere takes hold in Buffalo, what is it like from a player's perspective?
I think the players are very much like the fans. So the first game of the season is like a child in a candy store. But when the playoffs come, it's like that first day of Christmas coming down the stairs. So the players are so excited to get underway, to start the playoffs, and they feed off of that atmosphere, not only in the arena, but at the party in the plaza, what's going on all week long in the city. So it's going to be a great atmosphere. What
are players actually feeling right now?
The players are just in anticipation. They want to get started and get going and get their feet wet.
We're sitting here as fans suffering through a 14-year drought. Yeah. Does that put extra pressure on the players?
It's one of those long history that some of them probably weren't even playing in the league at the time. Yeah. You're aware of it, but it's just kind of an afterthought in the back of your mind, though.
What does Lindy Ruff tell this team?
I don't think he'll talk too much about the drought, more about the opportunity they have and what's in front of them. From where they started the season and the past 14 years being behind them now, I think everyone's just looking forward to moving forward, and Lindy's going to probably discuss that more than anything, lean on his experience in the playoffs, the veterans who have played in playoff games, or like Bo Byron winning a Stanley Cup. All those things will pay dividend down the road.
Well, they went out and they got Shen and they got Stanley. Both of those guys have cup rings. Yeah. How important is that?
Like everyone talks about culture, regardless of the sport, I think it is a thing, and it's an important thing. Yeah. So those guys have gone through it. There's going to be highs and lows that they can try to calm the players down, calm the team down, talk about their experience.
Show off them rings.
Show off the rings.
We saw a couple rings.
Yeah. But you got to lose before you can win. It's a learning process. And Gretzky once told the story, which is kind of bang on, when they lost that last series to the Islanders.
Yep.
And they walked past the dressing room and they see all the Islanders all bruised and in ice bags. It's a realization really what it takes to get to the finals and win.
Are the Sabres players, they're about to feel something different because this city is about to jump on them?
Well, the last 30, 40 games, how they've played, they've seen that atmosphere in the arena, which is so nice to have that back. Yeah. And that's going to be amplified even more come playoff time. So the players will feed off of that.
Home ice advantage is something we talk about all the time, but how big of an advantage is that?
Well, obviously you get the last change, which is important. So when you're matching lines, it's important. But the fan frenzy, when you feel the building shake and just the loudness of it, it's like if you don't feel it, there's something wrong with you.
Now, to live out our dreams as Sabres fans, what's it like at the moment where it all becomes real and someone hands you the Stanley Cup?
Ooh.
It is surreal. As a kid growing up, and you dream of that moment, playing street hockey and hockey as a kid. So to have that opportunity to raise it over your head, and the first two things I thought of was, don't drop it, and don't step on a TV wire and trip.
And then to have those rings that you showed us, whoa.
Yeah, that's what we all play for. At the end of the day, it's great to play the game, but it's all about winning the Stanley Cup.
Bring home the cup.
Bring it home. Bring it home.
Thank you, commUNITY.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. And with the playoffs here finally for Sabres fans, that means bars and restaurants are going to be jammed. And there's a mainstay just up the street in Allentown that's got a whole new life.
Yep, Lauren Hall takes us inside of Fat Bob's.
For nearly 3 decades, Fat Bob's Smokehouse has been serving up barbecue in Allentown.
Fat Bob's opened in 1998. I've been involved since 2003, owner since 2007, and over the past 20 years, we've really pushed growing our dining space, the food, really focused on the food.
Now that focus on growth includes a major overhaul of the bar area.
It's an older building. It was built in 1910. This opportunity was to focus on our bar space, which hadn't been touched really since I've been here.
The renovation was a full gut job, all to improve both the look and flow of service.
Everything on the bar side we closed, and we ripped out the old bar, ripped up the floor, brought some of the walls down to the studs, and then built it from the ground up.
And customers are already noticing the difference.
It's about the experience, about sitting down, being comfortable, watching a sporting event, watching the Sabres, Bills, whatever, while having a drink, having multiple people, staying longer, and so far we're starting to see that.
Of course, the food is still the star, whether it's longtime favorites or behind-the-scenes specialties.
All of our production's done here on site. Our brisket is an overnight smoke, so we put it in the evening. The guys come in the morning, do their magic, pull it out for service later that day.
And from barbecue smoked wings to their famously popular mac and cheese.
First getting into this business, I think we were a mac and cheese joint that was a side of barbecue. Because of the popularity of the mac and cheese, it was kind of like, hey, what's going on here? But it's been a huge staple.
And even a few off-menu surprises for those in the know, like loaded tots.
Here's a little bar secret. It's not featured on any menu. It's a kind of a secret bar menu. Pairs well with a beer.
For owner Patrick Ryan and the Fat Bob's crew, the refreshed space and experience is more than just a facelift. It's an investment in the future of the business and the neighborhood.
It's just our long-term commitment, right? It's our long-term commitment to our community.
And April is also Autism Awareness Month.
I spoke with the mom of an autistic child who is making great strides. This is Dante a few years ago. This is Dante today, a high school junior. He's known as the King of Awesome. His mom says he's growing and thriving.
I'm really, really, really proud of the young man he's becoming.
He got an unofficial diagnosis at about 2, and his mom made sure to connect with available services. Over the years, Dante has participated in a wide range of therapies.
Equine therapy, art therapy, sensory therapies, music therapies.
He's diagnosed autism level 3, profound autism.
Decision making sometimes is hard in terms of knowing what's safe, what's not safe. Sensory issues can be challenging at times.
But he continues to defy expectations. He's quite verbal, even with a speech deficit. It's constant communication, even on car rides.
And what do we do when we're yellow and not so mellow? Calm down, ask a question.
While autism awareness has improved, Naylor says true acceptance still has a long way to go.
Families don't need pity. They don't need shame. They need support. And support looks different for all of us. Support can just be a listening ear.
And for Autism Awareness Month,
Dante decided to give a scholarship to children on spectrum and or their siblings.
He's raising money through 4 events.
We're hosting a fish fry, family-friendly Zumba event. April 19th, we're going to host a paint and play.
That's a sensory event. And at the end of the month, a mini golf event.
I try not to cry and get overwhelmed, but he's so amazing and always thoughtful to do something with and for the community. And I don't think I do a good job just yet communicating or uplifting his voice to show that he's the one leading that.
Up next on Community, we're going to take you into a one-of-a-kind location, a new center within Roswell Park that's mission is to address cancer rates in Indigenous populations.
And we're going to talk more about jury diversification up next on Community.
Within this world-class cancer center is something equally special. Roswell Park's Department of Indigenous Cancer Health. It's the first of its kind in the country, tackling a variety of hurdles that stand in the way of treatment on native lands.
Sometimes there's challenges in getting to appointments or feeling comfortable going to an appointment that may be off territory in a larger institutional setting.
Cancer rates on Indigenous lands are disproportionately higher for a variety of reasons. Rodney Herring is the department chair.
So our people have experienced trauma, historical trauma in that way, which, downstream in thinking about the way we interact with healthcare facilities and institutions of care and education and learning, all plays into that way we understand health, medicine, and the care that we receive from others.
Roswell Park sits on traditional Seneca land, and this department says its work reflects Haudenosaunee principles of strength, peace, and good mind. A big part of their mission is to connect Indigenous nations when it comes to healthcare and cancer treatment.
By building healthy partnerships and understandings and ways from anything from research to services in our community, patient navigation to education programs for our youth, to become the next Indigenous cancer scientist or physician are really important in the steps we take to move forward in good ways.
The department also honors the value of Indigenous knowledge, sovereignty, and respect for the environment through community-driven partnerships.
Sovereignty is always local. So that means that each nation has their own way that they would like to practice who they are. And it's so important for us as practicing our collective identities and finding our own uniqueness within that larger picture.
And that is in both urban and rural settings. Their focus is on education and collaborative research, including cancer prevention and behavioral intervention, cancer screenings, clinical trials, and engaging students in Indigenous cancer research, building bridges and building trust.
What is the current trust between tribal nations, the health systems, and a large, cancer institute? What does that look like? And how do we find the best ways to move forward in partnership to make sure that the goal really is, how do we save more lives?
Working with partners across North America, they aim to coordinate educational events, host health screenings, conduct research, and develop action plans to address not only cancer health disparities, but larger issues that impact wellness, such as human relationships with the environment.
It's a pretty big responsibility covering all of Turtle Island and connecting with a lot of Indigenous tribes, and it's a huge honor putting our work into Indigenous sovereign communities and them putting their trust in us to provide education on lung wellness and bringing that education, hopefully that knowledge brings them, to lung cancer screening.
It is a safe space for those navigating loss.
It's a really good avenue to meet other people so you know that you're not alone.
Maria Krutinger's husband Adam passed away, leaving her to raise their 4- and 6-year-old children. They come to Western New York Compassion Connection.
I like to come here and see all my make new friends here.
We make a quilt with a picture of our person, and the kids get to decorate it and put stickers and all the things that their person liked to do. We can grieve, and my kids can have some other friends that have been going through some similar situations.
What began as a vision to fill a critical gap in grief support is now a lifeline for dozens of local families.
Obviously, life experience kind of came to our front door in making this happen, but also recognizing the need in the community. 1 in 11 kids in Erie County losing a parent or sibling by the age of 18.
There are peer groups for mothers and fathers who come from all over.
But I think what's been the biggest surprise out of the gate the first year is the demand for grief literacy outreach outside of these doors.
In 1 year, they are in over 20 school districts.
We knew that Western New York had been characterized as a grief desert.
So opening this place could have made them look like they're forcing death conversations, but
it has been the complete opposite.
The grief is different for everybody. And depending on how you grieve, it's not something that's linear, and it's going to be there for the rest of our lives. It's not going away.
Over 95 families served, thousands reached at events, and there's no charge for the services. And the list of trained volunteers is growing.
So much Buffalo love that has been poured into Western New York Compassion Connection since last year when we opened our doors.
Jury diversity is not just a matter of representation, but a cornerstone of fairness, trust, and public confidence in the justice system.
When we have diverse juries, they deliberate longer. Everyone has conscious and unconscious biases.
Former Erie County DA John Flynn saw the lack of diversity in the grand jury.
When you have 25 white people in the grand jury who are deciding the fate of that young African-American male, that is a bad look.
Erie County Court Judge Susan Egan says better decisions are made when there is diversity of opinion.
They're willing to discuss the role of race in the case and how that impacts people's view of the evidence and the law.
From her experience,
diverse juries deliver justice, and they deliver it better than non-diverse juries. They challenge assumptions, they question stereotypes.
The jury is the last check and balance on the power of the government.
And I've had a number of white jurors comment to me that, well, there aren't enough people of color in this pool. But I find it heartening that people are sensitive to that issue, and I think it's largely through the work of this task force trying to raise awareness.
The Jury Diversification Committee is seeing progress, but the work continues.
You need to have people in the community trust the system. If you can overcome that hurdle and get the message out there that there are leaders in this community, legal community, civil community, government community, who recognize this and want to fix this, that builds that trust.
Studies show public perception on justice served is directly tied to who's on the jury. And this isn't just about race.
Coming up next on Community, the end of an era.
And remembering a homicide chief.
Welcome back to Community. Now it's time to talk about someone who's made a huge difference in our community, serving others, and that era is about to come to an end.
We're talking about Crystal Peoples-Stokes. She will be done at the end of this year. Buffalo born, raised, and educated, Crystal Peoples' political career early on was with grassroots. She went on to fight for the environment and minority and women-owned businesses. She served on the Erie County Legislature. Her voice was heard, and she kept rising. November 2002, election night.
County Legislator Crystal Peoples is now Assemblyperson Crystal Peoples.
Crystal Peoples was elected as the Assembly member for the 141st District, a district that was represented by a one-time political powerhouse, Arthur Ewing. The job was big.
Now it's time to deliver. Are you ready?
It's time to deliver. I'm both ready, willing, and able.
She always talked about education.
First and foremost, I think public education has to be fully funded, and we're going to fight really hard for that.
I, Crystal D. Peoples.
December 2018, Crystal Peoples-Stokes was selected to be Majority Leader of the State Assembly. She was behind legalizing cannabis in New York, a staunch supporter of the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor, a voice for women in leadership.
Every little girl who is in school today and maybe being told by their guidance counselor, like I was, that I wasn't college material, that they won't listen to that.
And never afraid to speak out.
That's Crystal Peoples-Stokes.
Moving forward, expect to still see Peoples-Stokes in the community and working with the Smithsonian on the American Women's History Museum.
Sometimes you just have to slow down, settle down, and let new opportunities happen.
A committee to fill vacancies has selected Leah Halton Pope to replace Peoples-Stokes on the ballot. She worked in the Assembly Majority Leader's office for over a decade. When asked about Peoples-Stokes, she sent us this statement. Crystal Peoples-Stokes is more than a leader. She is an institution. She has left an indelible imprint on our city, our county, and our state. At every level, her work has been grounded in one thing, people, and a relentless commitment to improving their quality of life. That focus is what makes her legacy both powerful and enduring. I am so proud to have served her as she served the 141st Assembly District. Godspeed, Boss Lady. Thank you for showing us true leadership. It was his face and voice often on the news at Buffalo crime scenes.
It's unusual to hear that many homicides in a 24-hour period. It's difficult on the homicide section because we're running from one to the next to the next.
The 90s, a busy time for police.
The beginning of crack being introduced into the Buffalo area, some high-profile cases with the Slide Green gang.
Retired Chief of Detectives Dennis Richards says Fieramusca was the consummate professional.
He just had a knack for being confident and not cocky.
Who left a legacy of professionalism.
A great role model. He kind of wrote the script for what we all did, all of those that followed him. So
Fieramusca's daughter says no case went unnoticed by her father.
He would try not to bring it home, but there were times where you could tell that it was really bothering him.
Especially when it involved children, like this 1992 mom and baby homicide case on East Gallivan.
To kill a baby like that, it's just an awful thing.
My dad said that when they got to the scene, the little girl's hand was reaching out to the mother, and he said that one, it haunted him till this day.
She said he loved the profession as he moved up the ranks.
And he started, in the sheriff's department, and then he became a patrolman. Then he moved his way up to lieutenant. Then he was the captain at precinct 17. Then he went to narcotics. Then he went to homicide.
He just exuded confidence to the people as they watched him on the news, knowing that the case is going to be investigated.
After retiring, he remained active. He even ran for sheriff and taught at a local university. Retired Buffalo homicide chief Charles Fieramusca battled MDS, a blood cancer, for about a year. He was 82 years old.
A night of funk, and they're not playing songs, they're just playing grooves, which is really cool.
There was no rehearsal, there was no talk about the show. They just kind of get together, and so it's kind of neat to see, like, 5 talented musicians on stage just paying attention to what each other is doing, and then kind of vibing and playing off of that and living in the moment.
Got this guy named George Vallejo.
Well, April has been some month here on Community.
Yeah, we talked about autism awareness. We remember some great people in the police department as well as in government.
And Stanley Cup fever coming to town.
That's what it's all about. Can you believe the Sabres are in the playoffs?
15 years. 15 years.
It's been a long wait for this one.
Yeah, welcome back.
And Buffalo, too. Thanks so much for joining us on Community. We will see you next month.